Alright, so after the 1 week hiatus, your boy is back. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Combat and Kick It with your host Bando. Today, we are discussing and breaking down everything we need to know about UFC 305 and also discussing, is Jon Jones legitimately retiring or is this a hoax? Well, let's find out. Let's get right into it. Let's go. So like I said, welcome back to another episode of Combat and Kick It. We are discussing and breaking down UFC 305. This weekend is a massive card. We're going all the way to Australia for this one. Very important matchup between Israel Adesanya and Dricus Du Plessis. Dricus has to defend his championship against probably his toughest matchup in the division. Now, obviously there's history, a little bit of a built-up aggression towards each other, a little bit of beef there, a little something. People are excited for this fight, right? We wanted this fight back in January when it was originally supposed to happen, or actually no, it wasn't even January. It was I don't even remember when. But we were supposed to get this matchup before it was Sean Strickland, and Sean Strickland was the one who ended up getting the matchup with Israel Adesanya. But we're finally here. We're finally getting it. So I'm going to break down the main card as I typically do. You know me and the main cards. I break down the main cards. Some good fights on the prelims, but I'm sticking with the main card. So let's talk about it. Alright, so opening the card, you got the return of Li Jingliang. Very exciting return. People have been wanting to see him for a while. He hasn't fought since about late 2022. It's been a minute. He had some surgeries and some things that he had to take care of. I think it was related to his neck or something like that. I could be wrong. But he had to get surgery. He had to get some things taken care of. So Li Jingliang is back this weekend going up against Carlos Prates. Now, you're looking at this like, ooh, Li Jingliang. We should have Li Jingliang the favorite. We should already be believing in Li Jingliang to get this W. Should be his, right? But Carlos Prates is a dog. That is no BS. That is no lie. A lot of people don't know the name. They're not familiar yet. Get hip because the man is a dog. This is actually a very difficult match for Li Jingliang to come back to. It seems like it's a perfect matchup for him to come back and get an easy win. But no, this is a tough competitor. This is a dude who is going to bring the heat when they are in the octagon. And I think it's just tough when you're coming off of an injury to go up against somebody who's going to bring the heat like that to you every single time, every single round, every single second. So overall, I want to see Li Jingliang get the win. We know that he's very skilled in every aspect of the game, right? I would love to see him get the win, but I do think Carlos Prates is a problem, and I think he's going to end up being a problem for Li Jingliang, especially on the return fight. So I'm rocking with Carlos Prates on that one. Then you move on to the heavyweights, the big bangers right here, Tai Tuivasa and Jairzinho Rozenstruik. This is a fantastic matchup for both guys because it's a simple matchup. You know what I mean? It's a simple matchup. There's not much that you have to dig deep and use your IQ and all that kind of stuff in this fight. You already know the aspect of the fight. You know where it's going to go. It's going to be stand up with these two swinging and banging until one goes out. Simple as that. That is how Tai Tuivasa fights. Every single time Tai is in there, you know there's guaranteed two things when Tai Tuivasa fights. He's going to be swinging, and if he wins, he's doing that shoey. Fuck, he might do a shoey if he loses. It's just Tai Tuivasa. But either way, good matchup for both guys because it's simple. Very simple matchup. Who is going to win? In my opinion, that is who connects first. I think we've seen Rozenstruik get, not like gun shy, but we've seen him when guys bull rush him, right? We saw him when Ngannou bull rushed him. He was straight back to the cage, back to the cage, back to the cage. I think if Tai puts the pressure on him right away, Tai does have a chance of landing one early, being able to get the finish. You know how hard he hits, so there's no doubt in my mind that if he lands a shot, he can definitely get the KO finish. But I feel like his only aspect is if he gets it early. Now, we've seen Rosenstruik fights, but they tend to be a little on the boring side. You know what I mean? Especially if it goes past a knockout round and it leads into a 3 to 5 round competition. It is usually typically boring. But he also has knockout power. He's a fantastic kickboxer. He's very strong, very durable. I'm interested to see what's going to happen. A lot of people are probably rocking with Rosenstruik in this one, and I understand why. When you see Tai Tuivasa in his last few, he hasn't been the best. But I think the, being back in kind of like the hometown area-ish, a little bit like coming off of some tough losses against guys that truthfully he should have lost to. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense, he should have been losing to those guys. Matchup-wise, stylistically, he was not better than the guys he was facing. But this matchup is one that he has a big favor in winning. So I have to lean and rock with Tai Tuivasa in this one. Now we're on to Mateusz Gamrot and Dan Hooker. Now, we've all seen Mateusz's game plans in his fights, right? He is a very, very heavy wrestler. And not your typical wrestler. He has very different entrances, very different takedowns, the way he goes for it, the single legs, the sweeps, everything he does things very different, right? I'm not saying different as in unorthodox. I'm saying different as in different than what we're used to seeing with wrestling, especially in MMA. But Mateusz is fantastic at mixing it up. His stand-up isn't like superb or nothing like that. He's got decent stand-up. But if you look at his fight with Jalen Turner, he was hanging when he needed to be, but Jalen Turner was outstriking him. I think if Dan Hooker can defend the takedowns and keep this fight standing and stay his distance, he has a possibility of winning. But literally, that's every breakdown of a tall, lanky fighter going up against a wrestler who is extremely dominant with the wrestling. I can see this fight being a lot of scramble exchanges, and I just don't know if Dan Hooker has that in him to continuously have to scramble and get out of position and avoid the takedowns, avoid the chokes, avoid the submissions, get back up, keep the fight standing. I just don't know if Dan Hooker has that in him, right? We already know he has that dog in him when it comes to scrapping, actually getting in the scrap, right in the middle of the octagon, throwing hands. We know that, right? But he has been in so many wars, right? To go into a fight against a guy like Mateusz, who is going to continuously shoot on you, he's going to continuously just level change and change the game plan, make you think. I just don't know if Dan Hooker wants that right now. I don't think it is the best matchup for him. If he could do what Jalen Turner did, but turn it up just a little bit more, he can get the decision win, and it's very possible. If Mateusz is wrestling him, though, and not getting the finish, but he's controlling him for 3 rounds, it doesn't matter if Dan's a savage on the feet because he's just going to be on his back the whole time. You know what I mean? So I want Dan Hooker to win this. I really do. I would love to see Dan Hooker get a W back under his belt and everything like that. But I got to go with Mateusz on this one. It's hard to not go with Mateusz, so I got to rock with Mateusz on that one. So now we're on to the co-main event. Kai Kara-France versus Steve Erceg. Good matchup. Top guys in the flyweight division. One guy just coming off of a title matchup who a lot of people believed almost won that fight. A lot of people believe he did win that fight. I believe he almost won it. But a lot of people did believe he won that fight by causing and inflicting more damage. But Steve Erceg is talented. He's taller than most flyweights. He's got good hands. He's powerful. He's got beautiful boxing. But so does Kai Kara-France. The only thing about Kai Kara-France is he is very repetitive. He's very repetitive in his striking, right? He'll do the same things and look for that overhand right. Now, the overhand right, when it lands, is deadly. And it comes at a quick angle, right? You don't always see it coming. But I think in this fight, he cannot be sloppy in any aspect. He cannot leave openings in any aspect. Steve Erceg is a beautiful counterpuncher. Beautiful counterpuncher, and he's also not afraid to get into a scrap. He got into a little bit of a scrap with Pantoja. Sometimes that's what you got to do. I don't know if Kai Kara-France wants to get in a scrap or if Kai wants to go in there and get this finish. But let me tell you something about this matchup. This is a huge flyweight matchup because of the bust of a matchup we just had a few weeks ago between Muhammad Mokaev and Manel Kape. This matchup is massive because if you can come out and put on a freaking show, or one of these two can put on a clinic, make a statement, look fabulous, look amazing, whatever the case may be, you're keeping some action into that flyweight division, right? You're keeping a little bit of action in that flyweight division. We just got an announcement that Brandon Royval is going to go up against Tatsuro Taira, which is a very interesting matchup because that's a quick run for Taira. If he can get the win over Brandon Royval, a very game opponent, you're starting to look a little bit more alive for the flyweight division. It's starting to give you a little bit more hope. Say that it's giving you a little bit more hope, but this weekend will show us where the flyweight division stands because this is your number one contender. Whoever wins this is number one contender. I can see Steve Ursay getting a rematch, being maybe a co-main event on another card against Pantoja, or I can see Kai Kara-France getting this done and being the next one in line, or maybe getting that Manel Kape fight that was supposed to happen originally. But either way, who am I rocking with in this one? I'm going with Steve Ursay. I think the striking is too clean. I think he's very clean on the boxing side. His counterpunching is good. And I think Kai Kara-France leaves a lot of openings when he throws his combinations. And his combinations are not sloppy, but he almost like he's going for the finish every time. So he does end up leaving something open or ends up overthrowing something, whatever the case may be. I can see Steve Ursay catching him with a left hook like he did against Matt Schnell, or I can see him just piecing him up overall for 3 rounds. We'll see what happens, but that's a good co-main event, and like I said, that is your number one contender right there. But I'm going with Steve Ursay. Now we on to the main event. Israel Adesanya is back for the chase for the belt. He's chasing the belt. No, he's not. He is chasing Dricus. He don't care about the belt. He is going for Dricus. Dricus Du Plessis has to defend his middleweight championship against the former champ Israel Adesanya. What do I believe is going to happen in this fight? Well, it really depends. I've been watching this sport for a long time. Matter of fact, I just found out that it's been over 15 years of me watching this sport because 15 years ago, a couple days ago, Anderson Silva knocked out Forrest Griffin. So I've been watching this sport for a very long time, right? Not a very long time, but a decent long time, right? And I've seen situations where guys come back and they're talking about how they're going to come back and they're not looking to go in there and try to win the belt. They're going in there for a finish. They're going to show how much they've evolved and how much better they are and everything like that, and end up doing nothing, putting on a bore fest, looking lackluster, stuff like that. I've seen that happen plenty of times. I've also seen times where you got a guy who's a champion, right, just fighting to defend the belt. Beforehand, before he was champion, he was fighting to collect heads. And that's the definition of Israel Adesanya. If Israel Adesanya comes through with the same mentalities that he had fighting Kelvin Gastelum, fighting Derek Brunson, going back to those early fights in his UFC career, that mentality of Israel Adesanya has to come out this weekend, because I think if he goes in there just thinking he's going to be able to tap away, land leg kicks, jab away, I don't think it's going to be able to happen. Dricus has such an unorthodox style. He is one of the best styles to pose a threat to Izzy, right? So Dricus is going to be... If Izzy does anything similar to what he did against Sean with his back against the cage, there's going to be a lot of moments where you see Dricus going at the hips, holding the hips, possibly getting him down, holding him down, immediately going for a submission, missing it, getting back up, a little bit of scrapping exchanges, and Dricus catching him with some stuff that you wouldn't expect him to catch him with. But if Izzy comes out with the intention of, you're going to have to kill me to win, same thing that he had with Gastelum, He said, I'm prepared to die. Right before they went through to that 5th round, he said, I'm prepared to die. That is the Israel Adesanya that has to come out Saturday night. Because if the Israel Adesanya that fought Sean Strickland comes out, it's game over. It's game over. I think Dricus is going to wipe him. Now, there's many times that we've seen Dricus get tagged up. He's been pieced up. He's been caught. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Rob wasn't hitting him. It's not like Sean wasn't catching him, right? All these guys have put a little bit of... a little bit to him. I think Israel just has to be smart, right? But at the same time, come with the mindset that you're trying to finish this fight. You're not trying to win a decision. You're trying to finish this fight. I can see Izzy throwing much more than he typically does, more than the typical just leg kick and jab, move, leg kick, jab, move. I can see him throwing a lot of body work. High head kicks, flashy stuff that we don't normally see him throw, making Dricus seem like he's going to end up having openings, right? So, like, I can picture something in my head right now of Izzy throwing a spinning kick, right? Misses the spin kick. Dricus shoots. Dricus misses the shot, right? And Izzy catching him with a counter. Not saying he's going to get the finish from that, but catching him with a counter. I can see things like that happening, right? I picture something like that happening in my head, right? My head, anything can happen up in this thing. But at the same time, that's literally what I'm picturing. I'm thinking something like that could happen. Or like I was saying, Dricus holding him up against the cage, pulling him down, holding him down for a minute, going for the takedown. Fight. Izzy defends, gets right back to the feet. Couple exchanges, couple scrambles, and him catching Izzy with some weird stuff. He throws that left hook, like it's like late. It's like it's weird. He throws the left hook and it's like delayed. It's weird. So Izzy's just got to be smart. Let Dricus waste the shots. Make him miss, counter him up, and go for the finish. That's all. That's it for Izzy, in my opinion. So yeah. That's the UFC 305 breakdown. It's a good card, pretty good card. I'm excited for it. The past few fight night cards have not been something that I really cared to see, but we're back up and running with UFC 305 this weekend. So make sure to tune in. Hopefully, if you watch this and you watch the fights, you already know what you're supposed to do. Get prepared because I will have a review. But like I said, I want to talk about Jon Jones real quick. Rumors of Jon Jones retiring. Is this Jon Jones saying he's retiring after fighting Stipe? Or do we no longer have a main event for UFC 307? Yeah. No, 308. I don't know. I don't even know what card it is. But is it no longer happening? Jones and Stipe, is that not a thing anymore? Is Jon Jones retiring because he knows that the next generation of fighter is a little bit different? Look, I don't want to be one of those guys that rides with the hype, right? But Tom Aspinall legitimately is a threat to Jon Jones. He is a threat to every single heavyweight in the game, period, right? He is a threat to everybody. And I think with the speed, his technical ability, the way he can mix it up, he was going to pose a threat to Jon Jones. Now, a lot of people are saying Jon Jones is running. Tom Aspinall single-handedly retired Jon Jones without fighting him. I mean, I'm not going to say it's true, but I don't think Jon really wants to fight anymore. I don't think Jon wants to fight no more. And truthfully, I don't believe Stipe wants to fight anymore. Because if Stipe wanted to fight, he wouldn't have just had a 4-year layoff after getting KO'd, not coming back and fighting anybody, putting himself back into the ranks, into the running, putting himself out there during this whole like issue of the UFC belt being vacant. And then you just had so many different opportunities. I'm just thinking of it now, like when Francis was done, had to relinquish the belt, and they were talking about Jon Jones and Cyril. It should have never been Jon Jones and Cyril Gane. It should have been Jon Jones and Stipe right then and there. But it didn't happen. Stipe did not come back. And there was a long period of time where Stipe did not come back. Then we had the announcement that Stipe was coming back to fight Jon. Jon gets injured. There's an interim heavyweight championship, and Tom Aspinall becomes the interim heavyweight champ after fighting Sergey Pavlovich. When that could have been Stipe or Sergey, Stipe versus Sergey, or Stipe versus Tom. It could have been, right? It would have kept things rolling. It would have kept Stipe in the running just a little bit. This fight to me is got zero hype behind it at this point. If Jon Jones legitimately is retiring before or after, it doesn't matter. This fight has zero hype at this point. Tom Aspinall is the real UFC heavyweight champion, and that is a fact, folks. You know it. You know it. You know it. Look, I'm not going to argue with the facts of what Jon Jones is, how skilled Jon Jones is, how talented Jon Jones is. I'm not going to take anything away from him on that, right? But with the way it's all set up, if this was any other fighter in this circumstance, the interim would not be the interim. It would just be the champ. Simple as that. And Tom Aspinall is the UFC heavyweight champion. And that is it for this episode. You know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button so you know when the next episode is out. Also, just really make sure you get to diving in the comments a little bit. You guys are dry. No comments ever. Nothing. Give me a couple comments. I wonder if you guys even make it to the end. Maybe you don't even make it to the end. If you don't make it to the end of the video, you don't even know all the amazing things that can come with the end of the video. It's nothing right now, but it could be. You never know. You should always watch to the end. But I appreciate you guys for watching and listening to me ramble and talk stupid shit and be cringy and all that kind of stuff. You know what to do. Make sure you tune in to UFC 305 because I'm going to come through with the review. And there's much more things to discuss, much more things to talk about. So I'll catch you on the next episode. Your boy Bando is out. Peace.